Right now, the ceasefire between the United States and Iran is practically dead. Peace proposals are quite literally being tossed out as garbage by the very officials supposed to reap them. But these talks didn't stall purely because of disagreements in Washington or Tehran. The process was compromised by a covert operation unfolding on an airfield thousands of miles away from the negotiating table. The American administration had chosen Pakistan to be their primary diplomatic conduit. The plan was to rely on Islamabad to act as a neutral broker to cool down the escalating violence across the Middle East. The American government relied on a partner to manage its most sensitive regional negotiations, while that same partner was actively sheltering the assets of their opponent. While American and Israeli forces were conducting bombing campaigns, recent intelligence reports reveal that Pakistan was quietly allowing Iranian military aircraft to cross its borders and park safely out of reach. These jets weren't hidden in some remote desert. They were stationed at the Noor Khan base in Rawalpindi, the absolute nerve center of the Pakistani military establishment. Pakistan's foreign ministry insists these were innocent diplomatic flights tied to the ceasefire negotiations. However, American intelligence and defense officials look at the military cargo planes and soldiers moving across the tarmac and see a calculated effort to shield Iranian assets from U.S. airstrikes. By providing a safe haven to an active adversary in the middle of a conflict, Islamabad instantly broke the foundational trust required to mediate anything. The fallout in Washington has been immediate. Advisors close to the president, alongside senators like Lindsey Graham, are demanding a complete reevaluation of the U.S.-Pakistan alliance. To successfully mediate an international conflict, a country needs absolute neutrality and independent leverage over both parties at the table. This map shows the flow of defense imports. Pakistan relies overwhelmingly on Beijing, sourcing 80% of its military equipment from Chinese defense contractors, and simultaneously, China is actively assisting Iran with the development of its ballistic missile technology. A government cannot function as an unbiased peace broker for the United States when its own primary defense patron is actively arming the adversary they are supposed to be negotiating with. There is another major conflict of interest. Pakistani defense officials maintain deep-rooted, officially sanctioned anti-Israel positions, a bias openly acknowledged by international observers. This alignment has a long history. Geopolitical analysts point out that Pakistan previously assisted Iran in developing its nuclear weapons program. Yet, in pursuit of this deeply compromised channel, the U.S. administration pushed away its highly reliable traditional allies across Europe and the Middle East, failing to coordinate with them entirely. The frustration reached a boiling point among these ignored partners. The UAE grew so alienated by Washington's erratic diplomacy that it took drastic economic measures, effectively severing essential coordination within OPEC. The United States prioritized a problematic Pakistani channel over its long-standing regional partnerships, even as evidence of subversion began to mount. The immediate casualty of this strategy was time. Critical months were entirely wasted conducting dead-end negotiations in Islamabad, while the situation on the ground continued to deteriorate. Pakistan was caught in a trap of its own geography, forced to balance the demands of the U.S. against the reality of sharing a massive, highly volatile border with Iran. Because diplomacy completely stalled, massive American military objectives remained totally unfulfilled, leaving enormous naval fleets sitting idle in the region. This map shows the Strait of Hormuz, an unavoidable bottleneck for global energy markets. The collapse of these talks severely heightens the risk of regional violence spilling over into this vital trade route. Effective diplomacy depends on the underlying allegiances of the messenger as much as the text of the proposal. When global powers overlook the economic and military ties of their chosen mediators, they risk prolonging the very